Welcome into Lion Pride Sports. I'm Andrew Rogers. Joining me for the final time, although not sad, but a happy time, is one more time Coach Stugart. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Well, it's good to be back again.
You know, I'm probably going to miss it. I'm going to miss seeing you here for these interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were just talking a little bit about how fast time goes and where you're headed, all those types of things. It does go fast.
So let's talk about last week, last home game of the season. It was senior day, and we just fell short, and I think it all started off with UCM going up by 17 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, just a case where we just didn't get out of the chute very well. Didn't start fast. It's a little bit something that we've talked about all year is getting ready to play and being ready to play from the first kickoff. And, we fight back and we clawed our way back, but, it's just tough, especially against a really powerful offense like UCM, to fall behind kind of that quickly. It just puts you at a disadvantage. But as though I'm proud of our fight and climbing back and having a chance at the end of the game to tie it up. But, it's just the key is starting fast, and we just didn't do that.
Yeah, and 229 yards of total offense for UCM. How did they even accumulate that many yards in one quarter of play?
Well, I don't know. We have, part of the coaching is psychology. I mean, it's a large part of it, and we got to figure out ways to have our team a little bit more prepared to start the game fast, and sometimes it's just, I don't know. We had senior day. I don't know if all the introductions of the seniors. I know it's kind of emotional at the start there when we're doing all our senior introductions and pictures with families. But man, you got to be able to flip that switch and get it started. It just they just went down on a quick drive, and we held them to a field goal on that first drive. But then we don't answer. We have a third and short that we should be able to convert, and we don't, and we have to punt it right back, and then they go down and take 10-0 lead. If we get that first down and kind of at least keep the ball a little bit. It's on both sides. We just got to be ready to go, and that's what we've kind of focused on all week. This week is, really starting fast and seeing what happens.
And you talked about the senior day festivities and kind of what leads up into that. Let's take a step back from that even. For people that don't get to see it, what was the locker room presence like going into this final game?
Well, the locker room presence was kind of the same. I mean, I think we just went out a lot earlier and lined up and did our senior introductions and acknowledgments. And so, I think, some of the guys really talked themselves, as a group, as a team. They really wanted to kind of do their own little pregame talk, and a lot of that was in going out and trying to honor and play for the seniors and make it about them that day. And so, other than that, it was pretty normal. But of course, a lot of focus is on that last home game for our seniors.
And taking a step away from the seniors now, somebody that looked really good that week, Cade Brister, 312 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 100 rush yards, also rushed a touchdown. For all of those people that have had doubt about Cade over the season, a young quarterback with a little bit of, needing of development toward his accuracy, how did he basically shut down that doubt this week?
Well, Cade just makes a lot of plays that, looks like a play's dead, or if he's, caught in the pocket, he's able to, so many times he can escape and go make some first downs. And, he just wills himself to get out of stuff, and it's just the competitor that he is. I've had a few freshman quarterbacks in my career, that you've kind of, that you've went through the season with. And, most of them, Cade's really kind of looked a lot more like a veteran through a lot of the year. Yeah, he makes some freshman mistakes. I mean, that's just part of the development part of it. But, he's one of the first freshmen I've ever really had in my career that just really is composed back there like a veteran. And so he's kept us in a lot of games, I'm really excited about his future here. Just like I said, and even like you said, he's got some areas to improve. Accuracy, a little bit yet still on the year. He's pushing 68% completion rate. I mean, percentage. So, I'm excited because that's where the bar is right now. As he does develop, I think. There's no ceiling on what he's going to do.
And then you talked about a little bit about defense to start the show. Dive into that a little bit more for me. In the second quarter, some key turnovers really helped the Lions battle back into the game, and they ended up winning that quarter 14-7 going into halftime. Still down, yes, 24-14, but what were those key turnovers turnovers as boosters for not just the defense but the offense as well?
Well, the thing about it is though we didn't take advantage of some of those turnovers, and it got us it got a defensive stop, but we weren't able to just go convert and make those into points. And those are, like I said, those are the opportunities that you really have to take advantage of. And like I said, we've struggled a lot this year. It'll be a focal point of this off season is just really stressing getting off the field on third down defensively. I think as we look back and as I do our whole analysis of our whole season, I don't think we're going to be real excited about our third downs and not getting off the field in a lot of situations on third and pass medium or even third and long. You got to get off the field, and then on offense you got to take advantage of those turnovers. That's what turnovers are. Is you get a bonus possession and you got to go take advantage of it. And so, a bunch of positives this year, but we see a list of things that through spring football and everything is going to be a big focal point for us to get better at.
And now let's move into the coming week. I want to talk about practice here, and I don't want to harp on last week more than anything else, but going into this week for the final game of the season, what has practice been like?
Well, you would think it's been some tough losses here, and you would think that I've always heard this is kind of new for me a little bit. I mean, this is in my career I haven't I've had 2 losing seasons in my career, and so you never know how to respond when kids are struggling. And I've been really impressed with this football team this year. I know last year, taking over a new team and kind of trying to get things turned around, we didn't handle some of that adversity very well. I don't think everybody was coming to practice with the attitude to even try to keep fighting and everything as a whole. A lot of guys did, but we had a number of guys that didn't. This year I'm seeing, this week of practice has been outstanding, and they have a lot to play for, and that's what they're looking at. It's kind of ending the year on a positive note and beating a team that beat us last year on the road. So a lot of positive, and so that's what I'm really proud of is the maturity of this team and the leadership of this team and how they've really stayed bought in, and they haven't, nothing's got negative. And they're still fighting, and that's what I'm proud of. They recognize how close they are to being, a 6-7 win team this year in some of the games that slipped away. So their practice has been great.
And I love how you used the word impressed, because I don't think you're just impressed. I think a lot of people are impressed, because coming back from last year to this year, there was a lot more expectations to win and succeed, especially from a fan's perspective, just seeing how the teams come together and just shaped up. And now when we go and use that term of impressed, there's been 3 games this season where the Lions have just fallen short by 10 points or less. 2 of them have been 3-point games. Instead of seeing a record of 3-7, you see a record of 6-4. So it's an incredible, vast difference. So in regards to finishing games, how is that going to be something that is worked more on in the off season going into next year?
Well, I think we always evaluate what our issues were during the season, and then that's really what we build our spring football around, of what we're emphasizing. Right now we're just not. Our first quarters and at the end of the second quarter, at the end of halves, we've been outscored in the second half of the end of the first half and the end of the second half. We haven't won those inside those 4-minute situations. In other words, we're just not finishing halves. We're not finishing games. We have to identify what that is. Is it we start pressing and we don't want to make a mistake, we start playing on our heels. There's a lot of things that you're seeing right now that we have identified how close we are, but it's the little things. It's one of our pillars in our program. It's some of these little things that have really kind of hurt us and lost some football games. Those are things that we will really focus on in the off season. And but the other thing too, I think what's hard is as a coaching staff, and when we came into Lindenwood a year ago and kind of assessed, the plans and to set out a direction to get this program to the top, it's an investment, and we knew that there was going to be some rough roads, and there was going to be a little bit of adversity, and it was going to take a little bit of time. And so, I feel bad for this year's seniors, because I really think that we felt like we could be 6-win, 7-win team. we're not concerned about where this program is going a year from now, but because we're still focused on finishing here. So our off season is going to be very it's always tough, but we're going to really focus on mental toughness and being able to start fast and being able to close out. And you got to build those situations in practice and in the winter workouts to create some of that adversity and how you finish through those things. So we'll keep plugging away at that.
And then going back to the seniors now, as you brought them back up, and I know you're an old school coach, but I've heard through the grapevine that the seniors are going to have the opportunity to give their best touchdown celebration dance at the end of practice.
That's right. Tonight, the day after practice, it's like I said, I don't like celebration penalties, and that's a big no-no if you get a penalty for excess celebration. So that's why tonight that is their opportunity to shine after practice, and I'm sure it'll be filmed, and we'll kind of take a vote on what's the best end zone dance out there.
And who do you think's going to have the best end zone
Man,
dance?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I've been joking. I said I can tell you who it won't be, and that's John Harris. He's just one of those guys that he doesn't like to celebrate and get too exuberant. So maybe he'll surprise me, but he's one of the guys that'll still throw the ball back to the referee. But I don't know. That's going to be a tough call. There's 4 or 5 of them that could be pretty creative. I've heard Mason Bendigo has put a little thought into his, so maybe that's maybe I'd put it on that.
And speaking of Mason, I was in contact with him a little bit, and he told me that Michael Crowder's got some moves.
Well, see, Michael's can dance, so that'll be interesting. It depends on if it's just a dance or if it's how creative it is. So Michael is a good dancer. That could be a good one too.
And then just finally, as we go into Missouri Western, what has the preparation been like?
Well, all we've talked about, it's been a recurring theme today, is starting fast. I mean, we feel like we've had the schemes, we've had the plays, we have to chip away at a couple things, and we've challenged them this week to just start fast in this game. Try to take the lead. Be the ones that get out fast first and kind of see where it goes. You may like the results. So, they're a team that we feel like we can beat, and I think each week we feel like the teams we've played we can beat. It's just a matter of being on the road and being able to walk out of a locker room and kind of attack first and kind of see where it goes. So that's what our focal point's been all week. We feel like we can move the ball offensively and we can take advantage of some things there, and defensively I think we can contain that as well. We just got to start fast.
Well, Coach, good luck to you and your team this weekend against Missouri Western. That'll do it for Coach Stugart. When we come back, we'll be joined by the Lindenwood women's ice hockey coach, Coach Scott Spencer. He's next on Lion Pride Sports.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Lion Pride Sports, now being joined as promised by the Lindenwood women's ice hockey coach, Coach Scott Spencer. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time and joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
And Coach, we haven't gotten to speak ever since, the first game of the season. It was against Wisconsin, the number 2 ranked team in the nation, and we fell short in those 2 games.
Yeah, they're actually, they've only lost once and are now the number 1 team in the country, as kind of predicted. But yeah, we played well that first weekend, lost 3-2 the first night, and had our chances to win in the third period. We had a couple good looks there on the power play in the third period, but just came up a little bit short. And then couldn't get it done the second night. But since then, we've gotten better every day, and we're plugging along here. We're into the third of the way into the season, and I like the way our team's shaping up so far.
Yeah, and the structure I kind of want to follow here for this interview, I just want to go back and look at all the games, kind of what we did wrong, what we could improve on, and then I want to get into a little bit about this week and some of the players and stuff like that. So for one more question about Wisconsin, how tough of an opponent were they?
Honestly, this is my 13th year coaching Division I hockey on the women's side, and we've played Wisconsin pretty much every year at every program that I've been at. This is likely their best team that I've ever seen out of them. They have national team kids on their 4th line, and the goaltending is maybe where they'd be a little bit susceptible to some things, but it's a wave of 4 lines and 3 pairs of D coming at you every shift. So they're a tough opponent. But again, anything in a 1-game situation, that's one of the beauty things about college athletics. It's not a best of 7. It's a 1 game and done once you get into the tournament, and anything can happen in those games.
Yeah, but it's whoever shows up ready to go, huh?
Yeah, get a good goaltender and a couple bounces your way, and that's how upsets happen.
And that's how you get the W. Now moving on to Union College, that's where we got our first win of the season. How exciting was that for the
It was good to get that first one out of the way, especially being on the road the first 2 weekends, going into Union. They have a program that's been around a while, and we won 4-1 that first night, and didn't get a few bounces our way the second night. We were up late in the third period and did a good job. They went ahead on a power play goal that we reviewed and I thought was still kicked in even after the review, but they counted it, and then they got a power play goal after that, and then we thought we had tied it up with about 4 seconds left, and it had gone off both pipes and across the goal line and back out, so it never went in. But those were 2 games that I felt we should have come away with a sweep, but we didn't. But we were good on Friday, and that's kind of been our theme through all the weekends. We've been pretty good on Friday, but haven't been able to bring it the second night in a row.
So can we reschedule the schedule then and make everything Friday games? Is that okay?
Go Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, just those 2? We're good?
Yeah, then we'll get that day rest, and we'll go from there.
And you talked about, just a little bit before how, especially going through the playoffs, it all comes down to that lucky bounce, and it just wasn't there against Union. Of course, you said the double post and on the line.
Yeah, no, I think it was 4 seconds left there was 40 seconds left, and then there was no whistle after that, so play ran out. But and we'd used our challenge earlier in the game, so I didn't have to challenge it, but we'd won a face-off clean, and Gerard teed it off right off from the face-off and hit both pipes and came out. So it was a little bit one of those days. But then the next weekend we had Syracuse, our first home weekend, and played well. Probably one of the roughest games that I've been involved with the women's game, and got a little out of hand with that stuff, but we ended up losing in overtime. Up 3-1 going into the third. They battled back to go 4-3. We scored a shorthanded goal to tie it up 4-4, and then again wasn't our way in overtime and had a good chance, and then they came back down and hit a skate and had a tap-in goal to win it for them. But and then Robert Morris the following weekend. Again, Robert Morris was the league champ last year, so a very, very strong opponent. We tied them the first night, 2-2, and then lost 2-0 the second night. And then this past weekend, Mercier's the top team in the conference, was in the tournament. We beat them 4-1 the first night, then couldn't get her done on the second night. So we got to figure that side of things out a little bit here as far as how to bring it both nights and bring that compete and so on. But again, it's early in the year, and you know, we haven't had a full roster yet either with injuries and stuff. So we're kind of piecing things together a little bit, and a little bit short bench, but that's the name of the game. So can't complain about it.
Yeah, and you talked about Syracuse, a 5-4 loss in overtime. And you're up 3-1, a historically good hockey program.
Yeah.
What was, like, you know, the feelings like for the women out on the ice? Because in a game like that, when, you know, you're not supposed to win, you're the dog, you're kind of holding your breath at that moment, like, oh gosh, we have to be, oh, we got to do this, oh, we got to do that, and then all of a sudden they score the goal, and it's like, oh shoot, and now we're 1 goal ahead. And how do you, like, calm the nerves as a coach?
You know what? I think that's just experience. You know, with a young team, it can kind of get away from you. You know, but I like the resiliency that our team showed with, you know, not panicking. You know, this again, I had mentioned it before with you that this is the first year we've got more upperclassmen where we got versus the underclassmen where we'd had the first 2 years with 14, 15 freshmen and sophomores. So we're on the other side of the age line, and I think that really helps us because you've got some veterans in there that can kind of, we've been here before. You know, we beat them twice last year. We were 500 against them last year, so we'd split up there and split here. So we've been playing well against Syracuse over the last little while here, so there was no reason in our kids' heads that they didn't think they could get it done. You know, and we controlled a lot of the play with that. They couldn't keep up with our tempo, and they're a big physical team, but we're much quicker, and I think that we exposed them with that on the Friday night. And then Saturday night, to be honest with you, it was just one of those games, like, we had 1 goal go in where sounded like a whistle went in the crowd, and it was a kid screaming, so everybody stopped, even their players, and the kid just fired it in the open net, and now it's 5-3, you know, versus 4-3. So, you know, little things like that, so that, you know, hopefully luck starts to go our way, but you earn your own luck, so we'll see how it goes here.
Waiting to catch that break. And also you kind of piggybacking off of the Syracuse game, how is it possible? And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the logistics that go into the scoring and the tiebreakers and stuff like that. But how do you go into an overtime game against Syracuse and then officially tie against Robert Morris?
Well, we didn't. No one scored in overtime.
So it doesn't go into anything else.
No.
From that
right after you go to 5-on-5 overtime. And then right after that, there's no shootout or anything. So you can, if nobody scores, it remains a tie from there. And then with the RPI, if you make it to overtime, they've changed it this year where they wait. An overtime win is only 75%, and an overtime loss, you still get 25% in the RPI ranking. So that can kind of help, you know, if you're looking at an at-large bid later in the year, which we won't be this year, but you know, but for future reference, it could help us down the road.
Right, and you know, and again, we've been talking about how it's been 10 games since we've seen each other, and now I kind of want to dive into some of the players. Who has impressed you the most, and not like, you know, coming into the season like you knew this player was going to have a lot of potential, but it's somebody that's on the younger side that you thought, you know, I know this player's got a lot of potential, but I didn't think she'd be as far developing-wise as she is already.
As far as our freshmen go, Taylor Kerwin is off to a real good start this year. She's leading all freshman scorers, I believe, in the conference as a defenseman. I think she's second in points per game as a defenseman in the nation for freshman D. So she's off to a good start. You know, and we thought she'd be an impactful player, you know, but she's a quick learner. She puts the time in to get better. So it's not surprising, but it's nice to see her step in and do a good job right off the bat. I think Jada Burke is another freshman from the Ottawa area who has been a bit of a surprise for us as far as what she's bringing to the table. She's a big body. She takes up a lot of space. You know, she's just she creates things while she's out there, and we didn't really know if that would be the case in her first year. But again, it all comes down to a work ethic too. She puts the time in. She came in really good shape, and you do the work prior, and that kind of sets yourself up for success. Sierra Burt's in a sophomore year here this year. She's our leading scorer right now. So she was on the All-CHA team, rookie team last year. And she's not having a sophomore slump right now. She's doing a very good job with her poises. The game's just slowing down a little bit for her, which is nice to see. She's a heck of a playmaker, and she's creating opportunities every night. So if she could start to finish a little bit more, then we'll be sitting pretty good.
And then talking about the veterans now, as you talked about, this is one of the heaviest veteran lineups that you've been able to work with in your career. Who on the experience side is bringing more of the leadership qualities and has exceeded in that realm of things? Jolene DeBruin's been strong in net for us here through the first part. She's a senior. Just the depth of our older players, Shannon Morris-Reed, Allie Larson, Courtney Gansky, they all bring that professionalism where they bring it every night, which is a good tool for teaching the young kids how they need to be a pro, and they've done a real good job with that. Taylor Gerard, again, got off to a good start, but we just got news we've lost her for the season now, so she's our top player, so that's going to be something that we have to fill and figure out from there. It's quote the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, next person up, right? So we'll figure it out and go from there. And then speaking of next person up, let's go into this next game, mental awareness game here at the Wentzville Ice Arena, the Lindenwood Ice Arena in Wentzville, Missouri. You guys are facing off against St. Cloud State. What are the expectations going in? I think we match up pretty good with St. Cloud. They're another WCHA team, which they're always tough, and they're a big physical team. Hopefully our speed can expose them a little bit, but it'll be good matchup this weekend. They had a coaching change about the same time. I want to say it was maybe the same year I took over this program, so we're kind of in the same stage of our programs. Changes that were made, and they're building. Eric's doing a good job there with bringing in some good players and building that up. So I'm excited with the matchup. Again, get out of conference here and try some new line combinations and see if we can spark a few things. We'll be starting both our goaltenders this weekend, freshman Sophie Wolf and both Joe will play this weekend. So we'll see what we can come up with. And then finally, my last question for you is, 10 games into the season, what can you improve on most? The thing that kind of sticks out to me has been, the power play chances, just 5 of 33 on the season. Yeah, what's that get us to? About 15? Yeah, 15%. Yeah, I'd like to, a good power play is up around 20, so we've actually been creating pretty good looks. It's just the finishing, and again, the consistency of our group isn't there yet, and that kind of goes to the Friday to Saturday night a little bit too. What's our mental prep? How are we preparing each week from Friday to Saturday? It's the same with the power play. If you've got a tap in back door, why are you finishing it, this time and not next time? And again, I think it's maturity. I think it's experience. Once you figure those things out between your own ears, then I think that'll start. But we're actually creating pretty good looks with it, so I'm pretty happy with how our power play is moving around and creating opportunities. Well, Coach, hopefully we can see some results in that category this weekend against St. Cloud State. Thank you so much for taking some time and joining us today. Lindenwood fans, if you want to check out the Lindenwood women's ice hockey team, check them out this weekend. It's Mental Health Awareness Night. It's a jersey off the back auction, so all bids, as Coach told me a little bit before, start at $75, with the proceeds going to mental health awareness. For Coach Scott Spencer, I'm Andrew Rogers signing off. This has been Lion Pride Sports.